me suis là-bas.
George, welcome to Paris. I'm curious, you've seen a lot of things in this sport. What does it mean to the sport to finally get to France?
Man, I wish I would have been able to fight in Paris. Unfortunately, the sport was illegal at the time, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here today and witness the first show in France. So I think it's going to be a great show, and I can't wait. Yeah.
It's a great main event. You know, Cyril Gane is a unique guy for heavyweight. How do you see his performance on Saturday going in that fight with Ty?
And Cyril Gane, he's got all the skills and all the talent in the world to be a great champion. I think that the best is ahead to come for him, but he's got a hell of a challenge in front of him. I think it's going to be a great fight. Whoever going to win this fight, I believe, will one day become a champion. But of course, my heart is with Cyril because I'm friend with him.
Let's say John Jones fights Stipe Miocic in December, and then the winner of that fights Francis. How do you see Cyril playing against John Jones if that fight were to ever happen?
Wow, it's a clash of styles. You know what I mean? John Jones is known like to be the best in the sport, you know. So, but he never fought at heavyweight. It will be interesting how he will adapt to heavyweight. I'm confident that after a long layoff, John Jones has all the skills to come back like he was when he had his reign at light heavyweight. And I just don't know how it's gonna play out. It's one of these things that sometimes could change the data, but there's so many X factor that we don't know. But I'm very excited. It's a great time to be a UFC fan, especially when I look at what is going on in the heavyweight division.
George, just over here.
Yes, please.
Just here. Just to go off of that, how do you see John Jones matching up with Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic?
When I met John Jones the last time, it was like a year ago, and he put on a lot of weight, and he seems very comfortable at that weight. So it led me to believe that he's going to come back as good as he was in the light heavyweight division, except with more mass, more muscle mass. So I don't know. It's as a fan, I want to see him like he was at the light heavyweight, and perhaps even better than he was. But he's got great challenges ahead. He's gonna take on Stipe Miocic, and then he's got Francis next if everything goes according to plan for him. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I think it's, as a UFC fan, it's gonna be a very entertaining fight.
And there's always a debate in the MMA community about who is the greatest of all time. Obviously you are in that conversation, but if you were to take yourself out of that conversation, who do you think is the GOAT?
I believe the GOAT is Royce Gracie, because he has done stuff in the sport that I believe will never be done again. He was fighting at the time that there was no weight class. The sport was unknown, the rules were different, and it took an immense courage to compete at that time. So for me, the GOAT is Royce Gracie. But of course, if you take Royce Gracie and try to put him in the octagon nowadays, the sport has changed so much over the years. He might not have looked as good as he was back then, of course not. So if you ask me who is the GOAT, the real answer is the GOAT is not even born yet, because athlete gets better with time. So the best athletes are still coming.
That's great. And of course, another legend of the sport is rumoured to be coming back and boxing Jake Paul, perhaps, Anderson Silva. If that does happen, how do you think he does against Jake Paul?
Wow, that's going to be a very entertaining fight. There's so much X factor for that fight. You know, you got Jake Paul that after every fight, he gets so much better. He's improving at a crazy rate, you know? And you got Anderson Silva on the other side, who's a legend, you know, and he did an incredible performance against Chavez that nobody was expecting him to win. So it's very difficult to make a prediction on this one.
And last one.
Trying to put me on the spot, don't you?
Last one from me. A big fight next weekend as well with Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz. How do you break down that fight? How do you see that going down?
Well, this fight is at welterweight. I think it favors, the odds will be towards Chimaev. I think it favors him because of that. However, Nate Diaz, you can't never count him out. He's very well-rounded, he's very durable, and it will take a lot to try to put him away. And Khamzat, it's going to be a tough challenge because he only went to the distance in his last fight, I believe. So, and I think he grew incredibly from that fight. He learns a lot. So I think we're going to see a better version of Khamzat, still better than what he was. So it's going to be an interesting fight. But if I would have to bet on that fight, of course, I would have to go with the odds and favor Khamzat Chimaev.
Right here.
Yes, please.
So, what do you think that Nate Diaz's legacy stands after this last fight?
Nate Diaz did a great performance when he fought Leon Edwards. He was losing the fight, but he finished very strong. He rocked Leon Edwards, and he had a very strong finish. And it proves us to us once again that it's never over until it's over. You know, and anything can happen. And then we saw what happened the other last weekend. Leon Edwards was losing the fight, but he did a beautiful setup with a high kick and won the welterweight title. So anything can happen in this game.
Can you tell us how you reacted when Leon knocked him out? And how do you think the rematch will eventually happen?
That's what makes the beauty of the sport, sort of. I mean, if you're on the side of the winner, of course, because everything can happen. It would be boring if we would always know who would win. And I don't think like in any other sport, fighting is no different. In football, it's not the best team that wins the game. It's the team that play the best the night of the game that will win the game. Fighting is no different. It's not the best fighter that wins the fight. It's the fighter that fight the best. And that night, Kamaru was winning the fight, but he made a crucial mistake that is unforgettable at this level. He zigged when he should have zagged, and credit to Leon Edwards, he did a beautiful setup. That was amazing, and he won the world title. And now they're gonna have a rematch, hopefully, and we'll see. You know, but things change. You never fight the same fighter twice. You can fight the same name twice, but you never fight the same fighter twice. Every fight leaves a scar. It could be for the best or for the worst. And after a loss, very often, we see fighters that a loss can affect their confidence. And a confidence is very important for a fighter because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have confidence, it's like someone who has a lot of money in his bank account but no way of accessing it. So for the magic to happen, you need the skills and the confidence. So we'll see how mentally strong is Kamaru Usman, and if he comes back and wins the title, I think he will add up to his legacy even more. So, but it's going to be a hell of a fight, a hell of a challenge.
Last question from me. What do you miss the most as a retired fighter?
I don't miss fighting at all, my friend. I wasn't I was in the plane on my way here this morning, and I was with my agent, and I was telling him, I was like, man, it's so much fun to go to an event and not fighting. Because when you're fighting, I never like to fight. I like the freedom that it gives me, of course, the income, the money, the wealth, the the health, because being a professional athlete, it's a healthy lifestyle, even though it's very dangerous. The access of things that most people don't have. That's why I fight for. I fought for having this freedom. But now I'm retired and I have no more stress, and I'm the happiest man on the planet. That's why I'm telling the new generation. I always tell the young fighters, retire when you're on top. Don't let the sport retire you. It's very bad, and it's very sad. Unfortunately, we see that happening too often.
Merci beaucoup aux médias. Maintenant, on va ouvrir les questions au public. S'il vous plaît, vous avez 4 micros. Un petit rappel pour poser vos questions avec Georges. J'ai une première question ici, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, bonjour Georges, Greg MMA, porteur à Chino. Donc tu vois, en France, les gens te respectent énormément, justement à cause de ton parcours exceptionnel. En plus, tu es quelqu'un de très humble. Tu représentes le MMA à son plus haut niveau, à tous les aspects. Est-ce que tu aurais un mot particulier à dire à tous les Français, en fait, qui t'adorent? Je pense qu'on l'adore tous, les gars. Un petit mot pour tous ceux qui t'aiment, s'il te plaît. Merci Georges pour tout nous a fait rêver.
Écoutez, quand je compétitionnais dans mes belles années, j'avais supplié Lorenzo Fertitta, qui était le patron de l'UFC à l'époque, d'organiser un événement en sol français. Malheureusement, le sport était illégal à l'époque. Moi, j'ai des origines françaises, je suis canadien, mais d'origine française. Et ça aurait été un rêve pour moi de compétitionner ici. Malheureusement, ça ne s'est pas produit, mais je suis très heureux aujourd'hui d'assister au premier gala à Paris. Et je suis très content de voir le succès que ça a eu déjà dans les ventes. L'événement demain soir est déjà sold out. Donc, super. Les fans en France, merci beaucoup. C'est un grand succès.
Merci. Merci Georges. On va prendre une question de là-bas en haut à gauche, s'il vous plaît.
Merci Georges d'être ici aujourd'hui. Je vais poser des questions en anglais pour toute ma famille aux États-Unis. You've faced many adversities throughout your career, starting with the loss to Matt Serra, but also battling against colitis. Take us through, please, just everything that you had to do with the champion mentality to really rise above those adversities. And a second question, perhaps I might be able to shake your hand after this.
Yeah, of course, no problem. You just have to find a way to get through security, my friend. Because if I say yes to you, I have to say yes to everybody. But if you get here, I'll shake your hand. It will be my pleasure. Exactly. But regarding the every time you face adversity or challenges in life, or a step back, you need to do the same thing all the time. You know, like you can't let that crush your confidence down, and you need to find a way to overcome it, to analyze the situation and find out the mistake that you did, to have that failure, and make sure you never repeat the same mistake again. So